started running Metal Hellsinger shortly after AGDQ 2025 when I did a run of BPM Bolts per minute there. Mostly because I just absolutely love rhythm games and rhythm shooters because, the rhythm is gonna shoot you tonight. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. I love that song, man. Come on.
It's so good.
It is. But for now, I'll throw it back to you, Willow, to introduce your run.
All right, so we will be going through all Torments, which is basically going through all of the challenges in a sense, instead of just doing the campaign. In my opinion, it's a lot more fun, mainly because of the variety you get with the run. That being said, it can also be a bit refreshing since it does have a little bit of RNG, but it shouldn't be that bad.
It'll be fine. Bam.
Yep.
Whenever you are ready, you can go ahead and give us that countdown and let's get some metal going.
Yep. The timer, I will count down when, so yeah. Gotta wait for this to load. So yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
All right. First torment that Willow's going to be jumping into here is Killing with Rhythm 1. Killing with Rhythm 1 is exactly what it says on the tin. You've got to kill all of these demons on beat. You're seeing marionettes and cambions here. A little bit of a tough break there. Probably just a little bit of an eaten input there for Willow. Willow's one of the best at this game out there. Your loadout for this torment, as I should point out, is Terminus and Persephone. No, not Terminus. Sorry, Paz. Paz is the skull. You're not going to see Paz used most likely at all. You might see him used a little bit more in the 8 Hells run, but probably not in the all Torments category. You're going to see Willow mostly using Persephone here, trying to line up double shots on a lot of these marionettes whenever she can, and just trying to get one-shot kills on these cambions, finishing off the bigger enemies as fast as possible. Just like this, using the ultimate there to take out a cambion and a behemoth at the same time. Wonderfully done. And just sailing right through. Wonderfully done. First torment down. Way to go, Willow.
Thank you. Yeah, with Killing with Rhythm, there's, for some reason, most of the tournaments, the headshots don't matter. In that one specifically, headshots do more damage. I'm not entirely sure as to why that is, but that's why I was able to take the 1 out in 2 shots instead of 3.
Yep. And we're moving on into Weapon Trickery 1. Weapon Trickery, as you can see, the mechanic is happening here where Willow doesn't have a weapon bar at the bottom. Instead, her weapon is automatically changing after each kill.
Oh, jeez.
Swapping from Terminus to Persephone, just back and forth after each kill. It's a little bit tricky when you're not used to it, but once you get into it, it becomes really rhythmic. You can get into a wonderful flow. It's absolutely amazing to see just the execution that Willow has here. And you'll see Willow focusing, not prioritizing that cambion there, instead prioritizing this behemoth that spawns up here, since that behemoth can do a lot of damage to you if you're not careful, since Willow knows that she can take out that cambion with Terminus if necessary. Jumping down, using Terminus, that sword there, to finish off these last 2 marionettes. Second torment down. Amazingly done.
As well with this run, usually people will go with Lamb difficulty because it does enemies do less damage. However, for a few of them, you kind of want to be taking more damage, which you'll see later on. So I have to be a little bit more careful with getting hit.
Yep, so I will point that out. You're on Goat difficulty, the slightly higher difficulty of the game. Goat's kind of like the normal difficulty of the game. Lamb is kind of the easy mode. There's a few harder difficulties as well where you don't get the built-in respawn mechanic. Some people swear by those. I believe those are Beast and Archdevil. But I am personally a Lamb and Goat runner. I personally go for any difficulty, which is the difficulty level for those. Though, speaking of difficulties, we are working through Torment 3, Relic Thief 1. The relics that you'll see around the map will boost Willow's damage, ultimates, and ammo. They're the only way Willow can build ultimates in this Torment. But looks like you're going for a different strat than you normally go with, focusing a little more on Persephone here than Terminus. Though it seems to be working really well, just getting that amazing fireball out of Persephone there, taking out all those enemies really quick, building that back up because the ultimate builds up so quickly here, getting off that second ult there. Already 40 out of the 50 kills necessary, lining up these enemies beautifully, getting another bunch of them down, finishing off these last few enemies, getting a third ult off, amazingly done, and Torment 3 down, Relic Thief 1.
Nice.
Now, there is three torments for each level, minus the final one, so we'll be able to get a variety of the songs as well. And also different BPMs, which is a little stressful for the later ones because I struggle with some of the transitions between them. We go from the fastest in the campaign to then one of the slower ones, and it's really hard to not miss a beat kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're all good. Specifically, if I'm not mistaken, the BPM for Stygia, which is the set of Torments that we're now in, is 103. So not only is it a slower BPM, it's also odd-numbered, which makes it even more awkward to try and hit on beat. I will point out, though, this is just masterclass execution on Giant Slayer 1. Giant Slayer 1's big mechanic is your objective is to kill the behemoths that spawn. Those are the big guys with the big hook hand. And your weapons will disappear as you clear more and more of them. So eventually, Willow started out with Terminus, Persephone, and the Hounds. The Hounds are the cool revolvers. They're kind of like the icon of this game. But eventually, Willow will be left with just Terminus, the really cool sword that the Unknown, the character that you're playing as, starts out with. And she'll have to hack and slash her way through these last few behemoths because she has no other option in terms of weapons. But that is not going to be a problem for Willow. Oh, that looked like an eaten input to me. That looked like an eaten input. You got robbed of that jump there.
I think
and just to add insult to injury, the
platform there, so I missed getting another refill for the double jump.
Yeah, but hey, you absolutely nailed it. Way to go. Heading into Death's Edge 1.
So this actually is where you see Paz.
Yeah!
We will be crystallizing the mannequins to damage ourselves even more to get the side effect from this torment power up. I don't know what you call it.
The gimmick, I guess we'll call it for the sake of this. Paz has a special ability where if you charge up a shot with Paz, you can crystallize the enemies. That also happens with Paz's ultimate ability, but we're not probably going to use Paz enough to see that. And with Paz, if you crystallize the enemies and you're close to them, when you destroy them, they will explode and damage you. So thankfully, with this Torment with Death's Edge, the more damage you take, the more damage you do, and on the current patch of the game, you're not supposed to be able to heal, but you thankfully can with Terminus's ultimate. It's a little funny bit of a mechanic on this patch. It's not really intended, I don't think. On earlier patches, I don't believe it did heal you. Is that correct, Willow? You would know more about that than me. You've been running for a lot longer than I have.
I will say I'm not sure, because even now, it sometimes does heal you. Yeah. And sometimes it will take away the damage cap, but other times it doesn't when you do slaughters. But that side effect does not happen with Terminus's ultimate.
Yeah, it's very, very strange, because I know in your PB, speaking of PBs, Willow is one of the best in the world at this category. The only one of two people to have a sub 40-minute time in this run. So you are seeing one of the best in the world do this run for you all today on Hotfix.
Oh, yeah.
a new runner, or at least one that I don't recognize, actually beat mine by 6 minutes, which, to be fair, I haven't done this category in a while, so that could be why as well, because I wasn't really grinding it. I think I just kind of settled with the sub 40-minute time.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that this is a very new game still. It's only, 2 years old? Almost 3? So even for veterans like you of the game, there is still a lot for everyone to learn about this game. Though I should probably mention, we are in Relic Thief 2, the second variant of the Relic Thief. This time, instead of just being locked to Terminus and Persephone, you have the Hounds as well. And you're going to see Willow prioritizing the Hounds because they can one-shot the Marionettes. Those are those kind of skeleton-winged enemies. Plus, the ultimate for the Hounds is very powerful, and it will linger after your special effect from the boons runs out and will continue to deal damage to enemies. That doesn't normally happen with some of the other ultimates. Sometimes it'll just cut off those ultimates instantly when that effect runs out from the boons. But for the ultimate here on the Hounds, it will keep on going. And in that instance, you had 2 at once for a moment there. And it allows Willow to clear that Torment really, really quickly. Way to go.
Well done.
Out of Stygia and into Yelm.
Even though, like, the difficulty for the Torments increase the further you go, the respective ones have typically the same strategy. So, like, for example, Ultimate Master, you see a lot of Terminus action just because the ultimate is really good for killing enemies.
It really is. Plus, you'll also possibly see Willow, doing it exactly like that. You'll see Willow canceling the ultimate by quick swapping away to Persephone, and you'll be able to conserve a little bit of that ultimate bar and be able to build it back up on larger enemies like the Behemoth and the Cambions there, while still being able to hack and slash through a lot of the Marionettes and clearing that in really, really fast time. That way faster than I'm able to do Ultimate Mastery. Way to go, Willow. Incredibly done.
I will say my worst weapons is definitely the Hounds, mainly because it's more of a precision weapon. And because a lot of the other weapons have like a more area of effect, or like just a bigger range of shot to hit enemies. So.
And I would wholeheartedly agree with that on my end as well. The Hounds being a precision weapon makes them a lot of risk for a lot of reward. Or honestly, in some cases, not much reward if you have another option that is better than the Hounds. The only instance you'll see the Hounds being used for really is their ultimate, like you saw earlier with Relic Thief 2, when their ultimate was just that powerful. In this case, we are using them for killing with Rhythm 2 here, because they are just that powerful if you can land your shots. Plus, the ultimate is, again, very, very helpful there. And we would like to be able to use Terminus here, but again, Terminus just wouldn't do the damage that we want it to do. So, onto the Hounds it is. It's kind of a very good skill check for runners at this point. And as you can see, Willow is just executing it beautifully. Masterclass there once more. Killing with Rhythm 2, done.
Yelm introduces one of like the meta weapons that is used for traditional runs, which is the Vulcan, because of its area of effect. However, it can be quite blinding because you're just kind of spamming it.
So, photosensitivity warning here for anyone that might have any sorts of issues with that in chat. We do want y'all to enjoy the runs, but we want you to enjoy them safely. Vulcan crossbow, if you're hitting on beat with it, it will be firing explosive shots there. This is weapon trickery too. You'll be seeing a lot of different weapons here in rapid succession. Plus, it's also the introduction of these enemies, the eyeless. We absolutely hate them. They are always throwing stuff that'll make you slower. It'll tick down your health over time. And they also find ways to be in the most inconvenient spots possible, whether you're playing all Torments or 8 Hells. It is just they are the most inconvenient things ever. However, Willow making short work of them, getting into that rhythm, getting into that flow state here with Killing with Rhythm 2. Also, another enemy that we didn't really get to mention, Stalkers. There was a Stalker there, they were the green enemies that you saw, and now they're dead because Willow just annihilated them. We're out of Yelman into Encaustus because Willow is just speeding along here on GDQ Hotfix, here on Crosshair.
Heck yeah.
We are into a new Torment type. We are on to Slaughter Mastery 1. Only slaughters count here, and this is really a game knowledge checkpoint. You're going to be seeing a lot of use of the Hounds and of Terminus here. It takes one hit with Terminus to put marionettes into that slaughterable state, and 2 shots with the Hounds on beat to put the Cambions into that slaughterable state, where you see just Willow lunging and rip and tear until it is done. You got to do that 25 times here to finish off this Torment. And if done well, you're seeing Willow just burning through it. 13 out of 25 already, getting these nice in combination here, leaving none standing in her wake. It is beautiful to see. It is the perfect introduction to Encaustus as well, in my opinion. If you're playing for the first time, just getting into this, it gets you into the perfect rhythm, introduces you to the music, allows you to get a good feel for the rhythm of this floor. And just lunging in there. Boom. Way to go, Willow.
The only issue with that one in specific, sometimes the enemies love to jump around, which will cancel out the animation for you to do a slaughter. That did happen there once, but it kind of happens a lot more in the later ones when there's more enemies to keep track of. It is quite annoying. But
Yep.
there technically is a way to control it. I'm not the greatest at it though. Because a lot of the enemy spawns and just behaviors is where you're standing. Oh boy.
Gotta play it a little safe here. Looking
Okay,
out
we're
for that
good.
health crystal. Nice. Good save, good save. Normally, you'd see a lot of us players running on lower health, but that's more in the 8 health category. We wouldn't be too worried because we'd be using a boon called Last Breath Aegis, which you get from the Death's Edge 2 Torments. All these Torments are unlocking things for you as you go, usually specific boons that you get to play with during clearing the regular hells. But in this case, when you're playing through the Torments, you don't get the benefits of any boons. You're just using the weapons to hack and slash through all these enemies on the rhythm to the wonderful soundtrack of this game. Composed by Two Feathers with backing lyrics from a lot of the most famous metal artists and vocalists of all time. Didn't even get the chance to talk about Giant Slayer 2. You had to kill 10 stalkers, and Willow did it faster than I could get to it. Amazingly done. I will talk about Relic Thief 3 though, because with this loadout, you are kind of seeing the 8 Hells standard loadout with Vulcan and Hellcrow. You'll be seeing primarily Vulcan and seeing why we love it here. Willow picks up that first boon and gets basically infinite ammo with the Vulcan here. Those explosive shots even going through the ground a little bit and hitting some enemies before they're fully spawned. Clear them out really, really quickly. It is amazing to see how fast these enemies are dropping. Swapping over to the Hellcrow here just to get some of that AoE damage because they are boomerangs. You don't have to reload them, saving a little bit of time. They will go out and come back to you, which might take a bit of time, but they're constantly dealing damage in that arcing path. Picking up another one of those boons and just memorizing the patterns for how these enemies spawn. Hadn't even gotten the chance to mention yet, a lot of these battle arenas are kind of scripted. There's a little bit of RNG with some enemy AI and them not necessarily behaving how we want them to, but Willow has been playing this for so long and has these patterns so well memorized that she can basically just train them exactly where she wants them to be, just like this. 47 out of 50 already, 48, 49, and
There we go.
done.
Nice.
Absolutely wonderful. That is Relic Thief 3 down. I hope you enjoyed the Relic Thief Torments because they are done.
And
Out
here
of
is
Encaustus into Gehenna.
my favorite song from this game. I absolutely love this
Yes.
song.
Ah, My favorite song you sadly won't be hearing because I absolutely love the songs from Shoal. Shoal is the final level of the game, and sadly, it has no torments, so you won't be able to hear any songs from there. Though, hey, that's just more incentive for you to come and play the game. But we are in Death's Edge 2. Again, the more damage you take, the stronger you are going to be, the more damage you are going to deal. It's basically asking you to be a glass cannon. You are also being introduced to Seraphs and the Hierophant. The Hierophant will summon a couple of enemies that will self-destruct on you, and the Seraphs are those big angels that like to fire big heavenly lasers at you. And they deal a lot of damage, but they are surprisingly weak. They're kind of glass cannons in them of themselves. For this Torment, your loadout is Paz, Terminus, Persephone, and the Hounds, so you've got a bit of a tanky build, though again, you're going to be seeing a lot of Terminus here, a lot of the sword, just because, again, you're able to hit that ultimate, you're able to cancel it out, and that ultimate is so powerful you can spam it, even on the beat, off the beat, and it does a metric butt ton of damage.
The ultimate is also affected depending on the BVM song.
That it is.
Which
it will be faster or slower depending on the song playing. So it's going to be a little bit faster here in Genna than it was when you saw it earlier.
Which is
71 out of 9.
Sorry, which is in some cases you also have to spam slower, which not all the time is something you want, because spamming slow doesn't really work that well when you're trying to go fast.
Yeah, it doesn't help when you gotta go fast, though if I'm not mistaken, we might see it be spammed really, really fast later on when we get to Nihil, right? Nihil, you know what? I'll save the surprise for when we get there. It is absolutely wonderful to see. 97 out of 9. 9. Going after the Behemoth. Popping the ultimate to finish the other Behemoth. Absolutely wonderfully done. Again, Death's Edge 2 is kind of one of those risky ones because you are turning yourself into a glass cannon if the game decides not to give you the health as it's supposed to. Though it seems to be nice to Willow today, giving her those health refills. And now we are on to Killing with Rhythm 3, with Willow showing off just the sheer power of the Hellcrow. Again, hits on beat are what count here, kills on beat are what count. Damage is boosted when you're hitting on beat, and Willow just knows these songs so well. Especially this song in particular, with it being her favorite. So you get to see the sheer power of these Hellcrow boomerangs going out here, just one-shotting these waves of enemies, even some of these elite enemies like Behemoths, Stalkers, and Hierophants. It is not a problem. 36 out of the 60, 37s, mark my words. And then we might also get to see the ultimate from the Hellcrow here in a moment or two. Depends on if Willow wants to use it or not. It might be slower. There it is.
I used it the wrong time, but it's fine.
Yeah. The ultimate for the Hellcrow is kind of that whirlwind. You see a bunch of the Hellcrows just swirling around Willow now, dealing a constant sphere of damage around her. I haven't even mentioned the mechanic of a lot of these Torments. At the top of the Torment screen, you will see that timer constantly ticking down and regenerating every time Willow does something that moves her closer towards the final objective. Some of these Torments are much, much more difficult than others because of their timers, whereas others you're basically never going to fail out because of the time. This is one where I would say it is very tight on the time if you're getting unlucky.
Yeah,
but Willow making it look easy.
It's fine.
Willow out here making it look easy. Putting my resets to shame.
This Torment in particular is my favorite because we get to use all the weapons.
Yeah. You get to see a masterclass of all the weapons used here. Willow opening up by shooting that Chaos Crystal with Persephone. Moving on to the Hounds, you get to see the Vulcan and the Hellcrow as well. You get to see Terminus. The only one you don't get to see is, of course, Paz. We're leaving Paz behind. Paz got kidnapped by the Red Judge again. Sorry, spoilers for the story.
No.
I'll let you figure out what that means. Don't worry, it's not too big of a spoiler, I promise. But we've got Terminus, Persephone, Hounds, Vulcan, Hellcrow, and we've got all the wonderful enemies you've seen along the way. You've got marionettes, you've got the behemoths, you've got the eyeless, you've got the stalkers, you've got the Cambions, and a couple of shield Cambions as well, who are a little more difficult. Willow executing a slaughter into that rhythmic pattern there just to keep herself alive. Not worried at all. Taking out the Seraph with the Vulcan there just to finish it off. Absolutely wonderful.
And now
Someone
for
in
the
chat
song.
said, "Poor Paz."
Now for
Yeah.
the song with the fastest BPM in the game.
BPM mentioned? What?
Normally.
That was last run. But yes, Nile has the fastest beats per minute in the entire game. Aside from DLC tracks, but we're not really going to mention those, especially because DLC tracks are not speedrun valid. Plus, you also cannot use DLC tracks or any other tracks than standard in the Torments. Torments tracks are hard locked to what they are, which is, again, why I say that the Torments are a bit of a perfect training ground. They help you build solid mechanics and learn a lot of the game mechanics. I know that since I started learning the All Torments run, that I have learned so much about even just basic game mechanics that I didn't know about, such as being able to spam Terminus's ultimate. Before I started running the All Torments run, I didn't realize you could spam Terminus's ultimate like that. Speaking of ultimates, we are on Ultimate Mastery 2, and you can see here, with the BPM, Terminus's ultimate is spamming very quickly. It's a freaking just chainsaw instead of machete here, just burning through all these enemies. 24 out of the 30 kills that Willow needs, making it look easy. These Cambions do not stand a chance, neither does this behemoth. At this BPM, that behemoth drops in moments. Normally that behemoth would take a solid 10-15 seconds to kill. Nah. And just quick swapping away from Terminus to conserve the ultimate bar, building it back up, and burning through those marionettes to get out as fast as possible. It's the simple little time saves that count, and that is what makes Willow one of the best runners of this game out there. And from one satisfying game into another, you're into Slaughter Mastery 2. Again, it's knowing your damage calculations here. Though this time we are introduced to having Seraphs in the equation. As I said earlier, marionettes take one hit with Terminus, your sword, and of course that hit does have to be on beat. Cambions take 2 shots with the Hounds, and those shots have to be on beat. And Seraphs have to take 4 shots to be put into a slaughterable state. Again, if executed well, which obviously Willow is doing a marvelous job of here, you're not going to see it take a lot of time, though it does require you to use the Hounds. It takes a little bit of time to get that lock on, get that precision aim down. But Willow just making short work of these enemies. It is a marvelous just showcase of the brutality of this game, but also just how satisfying it can be, just launching into the air and across the stage to finish off these enemies. Just another Seraph down, another Cambion down, 23 out of 25. Going for the faster slaughters instead of the slower slaughters. Again, small optimizations for maximum time save. On to the last of Nihil's Torments. We are in Giant Slayer 3, Terminus, Persephone, and the Hounds. You're going to have to kill 10 elites to get out of here, and they were mean, and they changed your starting position and direction. You're starting off with an elite variant of the Behemoth getting introduced here, and long story short, they have a gun instead of a hook, and they are mean. They absolutely will kick your butt, and I have lost runs to them more times than I would like to admit. You've got shield Cambions that will also count. They are basically just Cambions, but shield, and very, very powerful. but Willow making them look easy. Also, you've got an electrical variant of the Stalker here. They are an elite version of the Stalker, and they like to shoot electricity everywhere. Do a little more damage. They're a little more jumpy than the standard Stalker variant. Plenty of enemies to just hack and slash through here. 5 out of the 10 elites done. You see Willow swapping to Terminus early here just to try and build up Terminus's ultimate off of a lot of these smaller enemies that have just gathered around here. Being careful with the health there. Dodging around, getting the ultimate right at the key moment to finish off all 4 of the final elites right on the last sliver of health. Absolutely well done, Willow. Had me on the edge of my seat there.
That one is quite difficult because of all the enemies. And the projectiles are quite unforgiving at some points with some of the enemies. And thankfully, I didn't need to find Styx crystals to heal off of.
Yeah. I should mention, we are now into the final set of 3 Torments. We are in Acheron, one of my personal favorite levels to play through in 8 Hells, but also just 3 of the most fun and satisfying Torments to play through to finish out. Oh, that's rough, but it's almost inevitable to take a death there in Death's Edge 3, and better to take it early. Death's Edge 3, again, the closer to death you are, the more damage that you do. So just almost expected there before Willow got the chance to pop Terminus's ultimate to restore her health. Just trying to get as close to death as possible to maximize her damage output. Definitely just a little bit of bad luck there as opposed to anything else. Especially because, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of times in my experience, the damage output from those behemoths just seems to be very variable in how far that damage wave goes from those hooks. Plus, also having a Chaos Crystal in that mix is just a bit of a cruel thing as well. They will just be mean to you all day. And those Chaos Crystals, while they are very useful in clearing out enemies, they will damage you. If you're standing too close, they will hurt you. Normally you're shooting them from a distance, but in this case we are utilizing them to take more damage and lower ourselves back down a bit. Willow making up for lost time here, just absolute masterclass of Death's Edge 3 being showcased here. Showing off the skill with the Vulcan crossbow. Again, one of the speedrunner's favorite items for this game, but also just popping Terminus's ult and quick swapping away to keep it saved. Wonderfully done. Again, you're seeing the standard loadout for a 8 Hells run here with Terminus, the Vulcan, the Hellcrow, and Paz. It's a just beautiful showcase of this game, the skill that Willow has, and the talents that can be showcased through just hours and hours of grinding here, making mincemeat out of these enemies. Those Cambions never stood a chance. Swapping the Hellcrow for a quick throw at that Cambion just to knock the shield out the way so that shot from the Vulcan can get through. Just a little bit of game knowledge, just expert game knowledge right there from Willow. Knowing that those few enemies were going to spawn there so that she could fire the second shot from the Vulcan there and not worry and finish them as fast as possible. 2 enemies left in this final Death's Edge Torment. 1 last behemoth to go, and that is Death's Edge 3 down. Way to go, Willow.
Thank you. And we are getting closer to the end of the round. Just 2 more Torments left.
Yep.
Let's go.
Ultimate Mastery 3 and Slaughter Mastery 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate Mastery 3, you know it, you love it. Ultimates only, you're going to see a lot more of Terminus. You've got Terminus, Persephone, and the Hounds. I've seen this done a few ways, primarily using Terminus. I've seen people use the Hounds to try and get an ultimate off with the Hounds because, again, once you use the Hound's ultimate, it's just kind of standing on its own and shooting whatever it sees, so it can be useful if you're hot swapping away to the Hounds, but looks like Willow's going with the tried and true method of just hacking and slashing with Terminus. It is absolutely wonderful. So turn your favorite rhythm game into a hack and slash adventure game here today with Metal Hellsinger. You thought the rhythm was going to shoot you? Now we're turning this into hack and slash.
DMC,
We
let's
absolutely
go.
love it here. Yeah. Just burning through these enemies really quickly, saving her ultimate just a little bit because she knew those marionettes were going to spawn. Just beautiful game knowledge of how many times she's played this Torment over and over again, knowledge of how many times she's trained to do this exact moment, and just hacking and slashing through more of these marionettes. Let's see if she gets lucky. 28, 29. Bad luck, bad luck. Just one enemy to go. Just gotta build the Styx crystal. Plenty of time.
Nice.
This is where you start to sweat just a little bit. You gotta hope that you can build that ultimate up in time, but not a problem. Plenty of time left. 30
Very
seconds?
nice.
More like 30. 13 seconds is nothing to Willow. Plenty of time to build up that ultimate and finish off Ultimate Mastery 3. Going into the final one here, Slaughter Mastery 3. You already know it. You love it. Rip and tear until it is done, Willow.
Oh, I will.
Someone in chat said Hellsinger may cry.
Yeah, sure. I love it. I am all for it. I would love to see that. And, you know, that makes me think of the fact that, yes, this game does, in fact, support custom music. There's an official modding program for this put out by the developers. So if you want to hear Devil May Cry music in this game, you can. The devs added that for us. So if you want to use Fmod to put custom tracks in this game, you can. That behemoth takes so many shots. I think it's either 15 or 16 to get it into a slaughterable state. So sadly, you do have to kill that behemoth one way or another to get more enemies to spawn. But once you get that behemoth down, it is more or less smooth sailing from there. It's Paz, Terminus, and the Hounds as the loadout. You're mostly going to see Willow using Terminus and the Hounds. Again, it's damage values for the win. You don't need me to say them again, I don't think. So I will let you just enjoy the absolute wonder of a soundtrack and the masterful gameplay of Willow here, unless Willow has anything she would like to say to finish this out.
No, I don't really have anything to say.
This song is such a banger.
It is. Two Feathers is the group that worked on the soundtrack, and yes, that's the same Two Feathers that made the Angry Birds 2 soundtrack. I'm not joking, but they were the composer. Yeah, they were the composers behind this soundtrack. The metal vocalists that got involved all did a wonderful job, from Serge Tankian of System of a Down to a bunch of other artists, like artists from Arch Enemy. Let's see. Oh, why am I forgetting these now? I listen to them all the time.
Trivium.
Oh yeah, Trivium as well. And that's time.
GG's.
GG's.
That's
Now-
Way to go,
PB
Willow.
For me as well.
I was going to say, I got to jump
I
in
think
there.
so,
That's
too,
a
yeah.
PB, is it not?
That's a PB, isn't it?
Let's go.
Hold up, yeah.
That's a big PB,
Way to
too.
go,
That's like
that
a
is.
2-minute PB.
Heck yes, Willow.
Oh, and there goes the audio. It was just looping.
As
there
it
for a
inevitably always does. Oh wow.
That was almost
What's that on your
exactly
auto
2
splits?
minutes.
Oh yeah. That is oh wow, I didn't even realize. I just pulled it up on the
Yeah.
side here.